Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. And it's a pleasure to be here with each of you this morning. Even though my topic may be not what we would consider the most pleasant topic, it's about hopelessness. However, my intention is to raise awareness and consciousness to how many of us are actually experiencing the feeling of hopelessness in many different ways, be they ever so slight or in manifesting as deep depression and the ultimate devastation of suicidal thoughts. So it's a journey that this week came up for me as I work in the world in service to others. And what I realized that there are many people who are in their individual lives really struggling with a lot of serious decisions and illnesses and financial challenges. And when I would be called to their homes and sit and talk with them, they opened up, and the topic seemed to be about their sense of hopelessness or the inability to make a decision in a rational manner. And so while I've not been touched with that for many years, I understood it because in my own life, I have been, welcome to all of you coming in. I have been at points of despair where I too felt that deep hopelessness. So last night I was trying to write some notes about hopelessness, and I said to my guides, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how to talk about this. And I was awakened at 2:18 this morning with a message that don't worry, it'll all be fine. So here I am, trusting spirit and guidance, and all of you to listen and tune in and share in this energy of my talks. So I started writing last night, and stuff disappeared off the page. Dragon Speak wouldn't work. All of these interferences came, and so I just finally went to bed. But I wrote, what is hopelessness? And some definitions I wrote down briefly were lack of self-worth, abandonment. These are the feelings: powerlessness, oppression, trapped or imprisoned, oppressed, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. And as I thought about those, I said, these are just natural human conditions. And yet there's a point where we lose the ability to pull ourselves out of them, and they become overwhelming. And I realized that in my own life, many years ago, before I died and came back, I too was hopeless. I was actually, in reality, on a suicide mission. And technically I accomplished it. But when in the light, I was given another opportunity to come back. And so this touches very close to me, as I spoke with a woman whose husband is on life support, and he was almost on his way home from major heart surgery, and he ended up back in ICU, and she was having trouble making decisions as to what the next step was going to be. And there was struggles with people suggesting what she should do and what she shouldn't do. And so we sat and we talked. And I found that my advice to her was to listen within her heart and to trust that she knew the right answer, and to allow that right answer to come forward, to not listen so much to everybody else, but get some facts, get more facts about the situation, and then trust her heart. And so I walked away from that feeling that we had sat in resonance and come to a deeper place within ourselves. And she came to a deeper place within herself. And in that moment, she felt comforted. Later on that same day, I spoke with a 90-year-old man, and we were talking about the situation with politics and world politics, and how we both reflected that what's going on in the world today is much like all civilizations in the past, be it Roman or Greek or Egypt. It's an evolutionary pattern, and we're repeating the same pattern of the rise and fall of civilizations. And he expressed, and he's a very upbeat person, he expressed his deep concern and sense of hopelessness. And this is a man I look to as a mentor. He's 90 years old. He's great wisdom, has had a great life. And I listened very carefully, and I was shocked to hear this man, who is usually so very, not outgoingly upbeat, but very steadfast in his way of looking at life, express hopelessness. He says, there's a sense of hopelessness. And his final word was, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. So what is this hope? What is this hope all about? And why right now are many of us having to deal with it on different levels? As I said before, be they slight or be they great. I don't think it matters. So I found a picture, which you'll find on my page, and hopefully I can post it. Or it was a quote, and it was a picture that I took, that I put the words on. It was written by a woman named Tanya Elizabeth, and I didn't write whatever books she's written, but she has written several books. But the quote was just struck out at me. And it's, at times it may feel hopeless, that life is unforgiving. Breathe. In the hopelessness of life, we find hope and promise. And as I sat with that, I realized how many times in my life I have hit that bottom, that space of hopelessness, on that sitting there in that space, and just owning that and allowing myself to feel it, and not try to fix it or correct it, but just sit with it and try to understand what it meant. I would find my way somewhat back to a balance. And so what I look at is, what is hopelessness? And so this morning, I woke up, and as I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And there were 3 emails in my email, all relating to hopelessness on some level. And I thought it was just, my guides and angels were at work. They got my back. I'm here. I have something to talk about. And it's important. It's important that we all look at the moments in our lives when we have felt that, and maybe feeling it right now, and realize that it's temporary. And it's as temporary as we need it to be. That it's an important process of our conscious awakening, that many times we have to go through this dark night of the soul, is what it's called, in order to find the light once again within ourselves. And so I started writing this morning, and I've got a list of things here, and I'll put those up in my notes as well. And as I've said before, all of this comes through me. I'm just a messenger many times. So what is hopelessness? What is it but a deep, very deep inner sadness, which feels insurmountable? I'm sorry to hear that, Lisa, and my prayers are with you. And I know, and Valerie and others, and I'm going to look at the charts today because I know this is going to touch people's hearts. And I want you to know that you're not alone. You're never alone. And that my love is with you, the love of the Creator, which you believe in or don't believe in, is with you, because we are part of such a beautiful and amazing creation that we as humans can't really see the whole picture. So it's a very deep inner sadness which feels insurmountable. It's a deeper inner struggle with choices. Many times it just represents, I can't make the right choice. And we ruminate and ruminate about making these life choices. And we actually make ourselves ill because they seem unreasonable and unresolvable. And we look at ourselves and we say, how many bad choices have I made? I can't make another one. And we hold ourselves accountable for things that are really not ours to be accountable for. We do it naturally. It's part of who we are. But we can choose, once again, not to. Basically, what it's caused by is separation. And you have heard me talk about separation before, and I'll talk about it again, because part of my journey here is to end separation, is to bring things back together, to put things back into balance. And right now, that's all of our jobs. Beneath and underlying everything we do, I think the message to rise out of hopelessness is to find balance, to make a balance somewhere within ourselves, even if it's just a slight balance. But hopelessness to me represents total imbalance and unbalanced behavior. It's an energy. I look at things as energy, not me personally, not you personally. It's an energy. And we get carried away with this energy and we lose our own ability to counterbalance the energy. And we've all been there. We get hit with hurt and pain, and we get hit with anger. Anger rises. All of our emotional energy in motion frequencies, which the psychologists work with and understand and have categorized, and rightfully so, that's their job, in order for the greater good to try and resolve for people. But I'm here to tell you that you are the most important part of that process. It can't be done for you. It has to be done through you. And so, we have reached a point in our society where hopelessness is rampant. And there's another side of it. It's actually being activated and fed and increased. And that's another part that I will probably touch on by the time I get to the end of this. So separation is, in fact, it's an energy of sadness. And it's both a cause and a result. So anytime we separate from something, there's an energy, take dough and you're stretching it, and it works and it all works. But then when you separate it, and it snaps, There's a snap. There's a moment of separation where now it's not the same anymore. And that's what happens to us. And when that snap within inside of us, where everything we held dear and loving and true to us vanishes, disappears, and our faith in ourselves, our faith in each other, our faith in God, all is being tested. So right now, bless you, Kristen, and I hope my prayer at the end will help you with your having a hard time today. And for those of you who are feeling isolation, I ask you to seek out a friend, somebody that you can speak to on a heart-to-heart level. And on just sometimes, maybe not speak, but just sit with them and feel the heart resonance between each other and know that you're not alone. Because again, separation, we do this, we separate. When things get rough, we pull away from everything. We want to go into our cave and just disappear. We don't want to talk to people. It's natural. It's a natural process. So we need to just engage more, because we're living in a physical world now where separation is broadcast daily in our news, on the radio, in our social media. We're being bombarded with things that are just triggering us to pull away, to look away, or the other option is we raise in anger. And when we raise in anger and start to fight and argue, we've separated in that moment as well. And when you start to recognize that, all they are is extremes. We're either going to fight with each other, or we're just going to walk away and disappear. Neither one will provide a solution to the problems and the issues of the world that we're living in. And so we have this generative process going on with the news media and politics and all of this. And I think with the older gentleman I was speaking of, we were talking about how America, the way it is, other countries are looking at us and pulling away from us and pulling back from us and saying, these people are crazy. These people they've lost their sense of compassion. They've lost their sense of right and wrong. They've lost they're just, everything is about them. They become so ego-minded that they don't see the rest of the story. And this is what happens when we're fed information by groups of people who want to ultimately just control us and have us be the perfect little slaves and do whatever they want. And this is the deeper part of our hopelessness, is because we're feeling those same things that I spoke of in the beginning of powerlessness, oppression, helplessness. Our whole world is changing. And there are some in the world who don't want it to change. They want to keep it exactly the way it is because they benefit from it being this way. And many of us, we benefit to some degree, but we also are part of the greater suffering, the part of where the trickle-down effect, the trickle dries out and disappears long before it hits us. And so I'm using common vernacular of politics and things because it's all part and part of this, part and parcel of this. And I'm not going to mince my words. So when you feel this hopelessness, know that it's not you personally, although you may have personal reasons. Under normal circumstances, those would be manageable or better managed than they are being right now. And so what we're experiencing is a compound effect. And I hope I can finish all of this in 10 minutes. It's a long talk that I really would love to do. So again, we're continually being told, and we have been for thousands of years, of who, what, when, where, and how to think. And what we've done is stop thinking for ourselves. Stop tapping into that voice within that's connected to the divine creator, however you choose to look at it or believe that. And trust in ourselves, and trust that, yeah, we're going to make mistakes. This is part of how we learn how to do things. If you don't put your hand on the hot stove, you don't know the danger of it. So again, this is part of our education process as humans. And to start to realize that our collective consciousness of humanity is being undermined. And that is all about freedom. We're losing our freedom. And freedom isn't because I can go here and I can go there. It's the freedom to make a choice from within our heart and soul space. And act upon it. And act upon it for the higher good of all, not just ourselves, not just out of greed and want and desire. And so this holiday of Christmas brings all of that up too, doesn't it? We see so many of us scrambling to get gifts for this one and buy that and do this and do that. And then that's not really the meaning of the season at all. And long before Jesus was born, the season was celebrated. So it's not really about Jesus, is it? It's about renewal. It's about winter, going within, going deep within ourselves, and looking and sitting with ourselves and honoring ourselves, so that in the spring and the next fertile season, we can come back out renewed, refreshed, ready to be who we truly are. So part of our hopelessness is the fact that in this time of darkness where we go into the cave and we go into ourselves, we're overwhelmed. So how can we reverse this? Okay, this is the positive side. We've got the negative, we understand that. Here's the positive side. You can change this, you can reverse this. So let's try to listen to our thoughts as we banter back and forth, the opposites. Okay, listen to them. Don't just struggle. I don't know. Listen to the validity of each one, and then make your decision. But make your decision based on your hearts, not your minds. Allow ourselves to have the freedom to ask, not only from our source of being and our source of inspiration, our creator, but have the freedom to ask others for assistance. Reach out. I know we can't trust everybody, but there are people in life you can trust, and they have your best interest in their hearts. Bring yourself to a point to share and to ask for assistance. It doesn't make us less than who we are. It shows our humanity. It shows who we are in truth. That there are times when we need assistance, and it's okay. It's okay to reach out and ask. It doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us less than. It doesn't demean us in any way or manner. In actuality, what it's doing, it's as a blessing, because we're opening our heart and becoming vulnerable, surrendering to something other than this mind who's just going to banter the logic. Oh, it'll come up with a solution, and then we have to live with it. But it's not made from within who we truly are. So listen, and ask, and feel comfortable expressing. And hopefully you have somebody in your life who you can do that with. And if not, text me. This is what I do. I talk, as you well know by now. So the truth is that we can always choose love over death. And what is hopelessness but a death? It's a death of the vibrant vitality of who we are, the core essence of our heart, our life and our breath and our, true energy. When we're hopelessness, it's a death to that. Not forever, because we'll recover it, but in that moment, it's a death, because we're no longer functioning in the loving, kind manner that we are, or that we were created in. And we can liberate ourselves from this false prison of energy. We can do this. We can change everything in one moment of clarity. That's all we need, that one spark of clarity, that one revelation. And all of a sudden you act on that because you're acting from your total wholeness, not your fragmented thought pattern, which is caused by imbalance. And as I said earlier, this is what people are doing to each other, is they're intentionally imbalancing each other. And in that moment, they have the opportunity to rob us of the preciousness, the divine glory of who we are. So for me, the key was surrender. When I surrendered completely. And it's sometimes not an easy path to surrender. But I know that, and I can share with you that from my own experience, that there is a renewal. There is a rebirth. There is a shifting in our conscious awareness to think more on a sovereign nature. And it's not a sovereign nature which says it's all about me, but it's all about all of us. So the rest I will post on the thing, but I do want to close with a prayer. And I think I've covered most of what I wanted to and didn't know I wanted to talk about. I do become quite humored with what spirit guidance has me bring forth and do. And I love them for it. Because this is, again, what I share with you, each of you, when you tap into that higher part of yourself and that communication with that realm of who we are, everything changes. Everything changes. And yes, we'll come to points of hopelessness. We'll experience points of despair. We will feel aloneness, but it'll only be for a moment, a day, 3 days, a week. But we'll never lose the ability to remember who we truly are, which are amazing. We're amazing beings. So I wrote a prayer for hopelessness. I haven't proofread it. My prayers come through and I write them down. And I want to share this with you. And as I say it, I want to own the words myself. as part of your heart as well. And I want you to think about the times you have felt hopeless and the times of despair that you have gone through. And remember that you're sitting here now. You're here now. And you have another opportunity, a golden opportunity to change that. Maybe not in this moment. Maybe not today. But if you lose hope, if you give up on hope, whatever that means for you, you've only given up on yourself, because you are the hope of the world. It's not something outside of us. We are the hope of the world. And I want you to own that. So with that said, if we could just come take a deep breath and relax. Beloved Mother, Father, Creator, find my heart. Whisper gently into its cavernous presence in soft and kind syllables of love. Allow me to feel the warmth of your breath as the spirit which calms the storms and quells the ravaging seas of despair. Send to me in those moments of deepest despair my precious family of light to carry me across the dark abyss of emptiness, allowing me to feel fulfilled in this presence, which sustains us all in every moment, even when we have lost the will to carry on. May your whispers now become the winds which lift me gently above it all, to see with new eyes, hear with new ears, and speak with a new tongue, renewing and instilling a greater faith in myself based on non-judgment, forgiveness, and compassion. Thank you for the freedom to make choices now, which align fully with my divine blueprint. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. And until next week, may each of you find glory and peace in the smallest of ways, and know you are not hopeless. Bless you all. And I'll try to put all this stuff up in the side notes, and it will be on my page anyway. So have a great week and know that you're loved. Bye for now.